So we're super excited to continue our collaboration with NYCxDESIGN and host a keynote. We hosted a keynote last year at MoMA as well. So thanks to the NYCxDESIGN team for having us and for the ongoing collaboration. And so we're here to talk a little bit about AI. So we have our theme of sci-fi to society. Actually, just a show of hands again in the room, how many people are designers in the audience? Okay, as I suspected. How many of you are working with AI in your daily workflows? Okay, that's why you're all here. IBM has a long history of involvement with AI. And there's actually been a seat at the table for well over 70 years now. And we started out with this imaginary question of, can machines think? We figured out that the answer was yes, and we've been moving towards implementation and bringing that into society. We do a little fun facts. Going back to 1956, there was a famous conference at Dartmouth, and IBM was a sponsor of that event and a technology provider. And this was way back in the day, and we had huge computers, and we were doing vacuum tubes and magnetic tape and just starting to get into really advanced computation. And it was at this conference where the term artificial intelligence was actually coined. Fast forward about 40 years, lots of experimentation and development. There was a major cultural moment where IBM's Deep Blue computer beat the reigning chess champion in the world, Garry Kasparov. And that was a high stakes game and again, a very cultural moment and major impact. Fast forward about 15 years, we're still into games. Watson beats the two reigning champions on Jeopardy! And this was getting actually into some really different territory because now we're starting to deal with natural language, Watson's understanding, able to get more conversational. So monumental moment and landmark occasion. And then we started to get real serious, bringing Watson into enterprise business, starting to enter the fields of cancer research with Watson Health, dealing with large sets of data with the Weather Channel. But there was also this notion of trust that was very important, explainable AI. And we had programs like AI Fairness 360 and Watson Open Scale. And this was long before responsible AI was the buzzwords that it is today. And then a couple of years ago, we launched Watson X, which is our portfolio of AI products. And that's expanding and growing every day. So this is all geared for productivity and enterprise business. And just this month, we launched the latest iteration of our Granite large language models with Granite 4.0 Tiny. And that's kind of fascinating because it's very efficient and compact and running enterprise-grade operations on consumer-grade hardware. So if we think about those huge computers back in the 50s, and now we're doing enterprise operations on literally PCs as the large language models continue to advance. And so that really brings us to today and our conversation today. So we have AI influencing every aspect of our lives, reshaping business, but it's also reshaping creativity and bringing a lot of questions to the table with that. So we want to talk about that and how we're incorporating AI into design and how we're thinking about things here at IBM and beyond. So we're going to take a little bit of a look inside IBM, and Colleen is going to take us through how we're incorporating AI into our design practice and workflows. We're going to hear from Charlie about One Madison and take a glance at some of our corporate art and how we're bringing AI into that. Then we're going to pivot and see what we're doing with our clients and how we're bringing AI into client solutions with Andrew from IBM Consulting. And some of our really fun and exciting work is our experiential activations. So we have Cory, also from the Blue Studio, who's going to set us up with activations. And very excited to have our agency partners visiting us from Germany, Field. I'm sure many of the designers in the audience know of Field. So thanks for being here for that. We'll get into a little bit of a Q&A, and then we'll have a short, light reception, and we can continue the conversation and questions at that point. So once again, thank you all for being here. And with that, let's turn it over to Colleen. Yeah. The one person on our panel bringing some color to the table.
I missed the memo. I missed the memo on wearing black. I wore black yesterday. I'm still in the game. Okay, hi everybody. My name's Colleen Yates. I'm an associate creative director in the Blue Studio. And I've been really focusing a lot of my time over the last year on AI and what AI means for us as a studio, what AI means for us as designers, and having the open conversations with everybody who wants to have them with me about what AI means to them, and we'll talk about it now. So what we have is a slide that is supposed to have a blue background, and if you have really good eyesight, I'm sure you can read it, but what it says is, with great power comes great responsibility. And like me, maybe some of you learned about that quote from Spider-Man, and don't maybe know that it's actually from Voltaire, which I found out this morning. But I think that's actually, a really great analogy for AI. It's the resourcing of information and bringing it back into modern times. But then also what it means is AI is a great power. And with that great power comes the responsibility of how we use AI as a society, how we use AI in our workflows, how we use AI in processes, and how we use AI when we have, once again, a blue slide without its background. But how we have thousands and thousands of AI models out there and platforms that are yet to be made, and only numbers that will continue to increase. So how do we become responsible owners of AI when there are so many to choose from? Well, at IBM, we decided none of those were going to work out for us, so we had to create our own. So as Client Zero, as we mostly like to call ourselves, we made our own AI based on Granite. And within Granite, we have it powered by watsonx. With all of the proprietary data we have within our products, we didn't find the security and safety measures of other platforms to be good enough for the data that we needed to keep secure. So as you can see, we have all of these different products already uploaded into Creative Assistant. If you choose one of those products, it brings you into this page where you have all of these different asset types. You can create anything from a presentation to a blog to an email, and it will source all of the data that has been plugged into this program, into this large language model, and give you something of a head start. You'll also notice in this bottom corner, which is a really, really new addition to our Creative Assistant, but it is called Product Assistant, powered by watsonx. So here, if we chose presentation, we'd be able to see all of the different slides that were created based on the different types of prompting that you wanted your presentation to be focused on, the links, the resources. You can go in there, change your slides, adjust the layouts, download it, and share it with other people. Now, if you wanted to have just a conversation with watsonx about our products, you can now do that through our assistant. It's kind of like ChatGPT, where you can ask it general questions, but it's also trained on all of our product data and information, so you can ask it very specific questions about our product, and it will give you the answers and the resources that you're looking for. When we talk about security, we obviously have to talk with our partnership with Adobe. Adobe is one of our greatest partners at IBM, especially in the design realm. I'm sure we all understand that Adobe has like a massive impact on all of our lives as designers. But when it comes to our relationship and our partnership, it's not just about an exchange of platforms. It's an exchange of ideas. When we talk to Adobe, we talk to the people that are creating these products, that are showing us the roadmap for what's in the future of Firefly, or Photoshop, or Illustrator, and all of the AI that's being infused into those programs we all know so dearly. One of the best parts about Adobe is our indemnification clause within our partnership. So this is a really large word. What it means is just legal safety. Anything that's created through AI at Adobe, they will take on any of that legal liability that could come from any of those outputs, which reassures us at IBM that Adobe is the correct partnership for us, especially in the realm of AI. One of our initial projects that we did in partnership with Ogilvy is what we call Fishy Fish. And it's actually, the campaign is Trust What You Create. The whole idea is that we took over the sphere with all of these different types of fish. And if you can see really closely, there might not be something right about some of these fish. One of them has a hamster head, for example. But all of these were iterated within Adobe Firefly. When we take them into their individual places, they kind of take on the form of these places in AI that you might not be super comfy with. We have the siloed fish. We have the hallucination fish. We have the bias fish. But it gives these uncertainties a face. It gives you the opportunity to learn more about them and deeper dive into them. So at Adobe Summit, this was one of the huge campaigns that was leading their summit, and we were really happy with the outputs of that. Oh, and then also, just for reference, they were like explored within Firefly, but then we were handing them off to an actual 3D illustrator and designer to have the finals made. So it's kind of an example of how the two still need to work together. So we have Trust What You Create. Now we have Trust What You See. One of the things that we have at IBM is like our trust and transparency policies that a lot of things that we go through is completely based on. So what we want to make sure is that if somebody is looking at one of our images and it's created through AI, you shouldn't have to dig through the metadata to find it. You should be able to just see it from the get-go. So a lot of our images, when we're creating them through AI, will now represent with this label on the bottom corner. That will mean that that image has been used and created by AI. And we want to make sure that that stays quite visible. Now, this is so new. Like we don't even have the guidance pages up yet. We don't have like all of the things because AI just moves so fast. And we're trying to keep up, but at the same time, like if another label that comes across our industry and is widely accepted, we'll go with that one. But we just want to make sure that our trust and transparency principles are still valued and at the front and center. And so then when we're looking at our imagery label, we're also thinking about Carbon. So Carbon is our digital design language. It's been very thought out. You can find anything that you need from a component basis and build all of the pages, all of the product UI, all of the product pages, anything that you could possibly need, we have a component for it. Which also means we have a component for the AI label that shows up in product. Now here it's a little bit different, but it is still about explainability. It's about trust and transparency. But so here you see that the label will appear in places in the product where AI is being used. You'll be able to hover over, you can do it now, but you hover over the AI label, and this dropdown will pop up, and it will show you how AI is explained in that specific use case. It happens all over our products, but once again, it just really reminiscent of trust and transparency throughout all parts of IBM. And since we thought maybe the AI label's not enough, we pulled out some visual communication with layers and illumination. And you can see here from the side-by-side, we have Carbon and then Carbon for AI. You can see how they work similarly, but the AI has the illumination, it has the gradient, it has the label, it has even rounded corners instead of perfectly square corners. And then you can see how it all works together. And how it works together is seamlessly, but we still wanted to make sure that people were catching where AI was present. So that's our digital experience. When we talk about brand, we're not quite there yet, to be so honest. Like, we're not quite there yet. We're still exploring how we show up in AI. And we don't really know the answer to that. But we have the answer to a lot of other things. We have the answer to what does IBM photography look like? What does IBM illustration look like? What colors do you use? What font we use? It's Plex. And hopefully you've all used it. We've designed grids for everything, even our business cards. But what does AI imagery look like? And the way we're kind of figuring that out is the way we figured out a lot of our other thing, and that's through guilds. So we have guilds for everything at IBM. We have guilds for 3D design for data viz, for illustration, which is another one that I run, personal plug. But now we have the Generative AI Guild with a blue background. That's what I'm talking about. So we have the Generative AI Guild. This is it's a community of about 150 people now, very excited. We've had over 45 meetings over the last year since we've been able to use generative programs at IBM in the imagery space. And we have open and honest conversations about what AI means to us as designers, how we want to be represented in the AI space at IBM, what our fears are, like the fishy fish, why AI makes us a little uncomfy sometimes, and we talk about it, and we work through it together as a team, and then we will create guidance based on that. One of the ways we still kind of feel like designers while using AI is through structure reference, and so that's something that's really iconic to just the Firefly platform. But you can see as the structure on the right is something that we drew. It has this engineered feeling. It has this structure. It has the different kind of corner radii that we look for in a lot of our products and a lot of other design. And then with the prompt, in combination, it spits out an AI image that feels like IBM. And so you can see how that's replicated through different structure references, different ratios, to give us something that still feels like a family of imagery, but just has a little extra AI in it. And so we've been really exploring. We've created, when I say thousands of images, I'm maybe understating it. We've created so many images. Some we laugh at really badly on these calls. We laugh so hard at how bad this image looks. And some turn out really, really great. And so it's just finding how we show up, finding where we want to be in the world of AI and what our trust and transparency principles are going to be so that we can show everybody what we want at IBM. And I'm going to hand it off to Charlie, who's going to walk us through a lot more really, really pretty images from
Hi. How's it going? My name is Charlie Flexon. I'm also a creative director at Blue Studio. And before I begin, I just want to take a moment and say thank you all for joining us here. We opened our doors at 1 Madison Avenue last September, and it was probably a 2.5-year design journey for us to get to this place. And I believe this is our first design-centric event that we've ever done here. So I want to say thank you very much. A lot of heart and soul went into making this space what it is, and we're really proud of the work. Also wanted to give a shout out to my mom, who has flown here from Richmond, Virginia to join us today. So anyway, I wanted to begin with showing just a bit of a cross-section of the work that our team does. So I am part of the environments team. We largely are based in experiential design and environmental graphics. So everything that you've seen probably in your journey today, from the quantum light sculpture that you saw in the ground floor lobby, maybe as you were coming up the escalator, you saw the iHeart AI. These are all examples of the things we've done. So it's kind of like a mixture between interior design and graphic design. It's the emergence of those two things, from signage and wayfinding systems to even curating all of the art within the space. All right, so what is an interesting point of view that in our design practice that really competes heavily with the world of AI is this notion of time. And we have to really consider time in everything that we do. Because in our projects, it could be minimum of 1 year spent designing the project, up to 3 years. And then once we've moved into this space, you're thinking about lease terms here. So 10 years to 15 years of time that we're going to be in this space. So if we're incorporating AI art into our space, how do we do that? We need to make sure that the work is timeless. Because by the time, and quite frankly, Colleen and I worked together quite closely on a lot of the AI art here. And it was one of the things we were thinking about is by the time we design this, by the time it gets printed, by the time it gets framed, and then by the time it gets put onto our wall, the model is completely obsolete. So what do we need to do to just try to cover our bases here? So a lot of the work, again, we all built everything in Adobe Firefly. So at the point of time when we were designing this space, we were 6 months into our venture with Adobe Firefly. So this is very, very early days, and we're probably still at its infancy, quite frankly now. But we were trying to think of really interesting ways to merge all of these worlds. So one example of this, you may have seen this on the second floor, but what we did was fed the model images of IBMers. This is Retta, and he helped bring all this stuff in, bringing in geometric forms, and then out comes these sculptural portraits. So it was kind of an interesting way to bring IBMers back into this space. Another way that we've done this through just basic art. So, like when we think about IBM and conceptually what we mean, it's always the intersection of mankind and machine. So we like to have this duality involved. We like to have organic meet synthetic, things like that. It plays a big role in the art that we do because ultimately all of the EGD in our spaces ladders back up to a story about IBM and who we are as a company. But I wanted to talk specifically about what I found was one of the most interesting and inspiring AI moments that we did. So it was a commission with an artist. Her name is Linda Dunia, and she's from Senegal. And when she pitched this concept to us, I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the one. We have to do this thing. So super excited about it. But what she did is she went to a local herbarium, photographed imagery, or took photographs of critically endangered and extinct flowers from her hometown. Things that no one can ever see anymore. Like it's her whole thing is called Once Upon a Garden, and it's all about this idea of bringing memory into the lives, like remembering the past and using AI as a way to bring, these visualizations that we will never see as humans. So basically, when we were in part of her journey, we were in the third generation of her work. She's in generation 5 now. It's super cool. I have a QR code at the end of this deck that you guys can click to kind of like join her in her travels. But at the point of time, this was where she was at. So she was generating images that you see here on the right. And then what she did for us is turn these into these really beautiful arrangements. And these are located on the 8th floor in our building. These are the large murals that we have in our space. And it just brings this sense of joy and life into our space. They're super beautiful, highly colorful, and this is what it looks like. To us, this was just such an interesting way to bring AI into our spaces. And then additionally, this is a project that we're working on right now. So fast forward, we're about a year into our journey with Firefly at this point in time. So we're working on a project, Colleen and I are working on a project together for our learning center in Armonk. And this was Elliot Noyes' last project for us as an architect at IBM. And within the campus, there's a series of residence halls that are all named after different trees. So what we're trying to do, like you can kind of see the manifestation of where this art has gone. It's been really dramatic, and now we're getting these outputs of like gorgeous magnitude, great depth, great sense of color. And again, this is 1 year, so what happens in 3 years from now? We're going to take this to another level. But conceptually, our idea here was to bring the parts of a willow tree together to represent the idea of a corporation and teamwork and collaboration. But we're really excited to see what happens with this. But we felt like the artwork really delivered on the character of the space. It has a very mid-century modern feel. It's nestled in the forest. So to bring these scientific elements in the space felt like the right thing for us. Anyway, thank you for your time. I'm going to pass this to Andrew now. But thank you and welcome to One Madison.
I'm Andrew Demas. I lead our experience strategy and design team in IBM Consulting. We help enterprises globally with digital transformation. So think about anything from optimizing your customer website and app to enabling field technicians to do their jobs better through apps and, quite frankly, AI. I am a born and raised New Yorker, and I feel like I live and breathe experience design. So this moment of New York by design, very exciting, geek moment for me. I feel like a celeb. Not like Beyonce, I don't have a wind fan, but we're trying nonetheless. And this is actually perfect timing because I'm going to call out Stephanie, who just walked into the room, and embarrass her. But Stephanie's been leading our AI experience consulting team, so during cocktail hour, please do attack her. But I'm really excited to share some of our work and would love to get some of your feedback as well. So I heard a lot of you raised your hands when you said you were using AI to enable your workflows. I have 2 more questions for you. So please raise your hand. if this is pertinent. So has an AI result or response excited you or surprised you, and turns out you actually liked it recently? We got a few hands, okay. My second question is, would you trust AI to be your therapist? Okay, so obviously, oh, we got a yes, okay. That's the future. So obviously we're making some progress here. And this is the dichotomy I really want to talk about and address today. There is a natural symbiotic relationship between human and machine, and we want to figure out how do we enable that effectively. I believe we're in what I call the time-constrained economy, and so we're very impatient. We want results now, we want them immediately, and AI is our shortcut and our circuit to get there. But in all of that, we want to make sure we're designing with the humans at the center and enabling human creativity and machine capability to come together. And so in order to help our clients work through designing with AI and AI for design, we wanted to create a framework that enables people to think through this in a methodical way. So we call this the human AI arc. Ooh. So how does it work? Let me bring a really practical example that, quite frankly, we've all probably had painful experiences with, the call center. So as an agent, right now we can streamline those processes by bringing in knowledge articles and next best action and transcription of calls to agents so they have the right context to help you. The next level of that is you're going to be able to have AI manage smaller workflows like do my password reset, show me my bill, reduce the cost of my bill. And then finally you get to this level of transformation. And when we think about transformation, it's AI really managing those workflows and the human doing white glove service and helping with cross-sell, upsell, and a more personalized experience. And so the way we like to look at human AI arc is it's a combination of capability evolution, but also of emotional advancement with the AI. So we're going from streamlining to delighting, and then ultimately this area of enlightenment, where you are giving feedback to the AI model, and the AI model is learning, and you're learning from the AI model as well, and they're providing proactive recommendations. So what does this mean for us as designers? And this is a bit of a scary phase right now, but it means that we're moving from creators to curators. We're going to spend less time in the pixels of an interface and more time focused on how do we think about constructing, strategizing, innovating, and creating relevant material for end users. And so with this, I wanted to talk a little bit about this new era for product design. And we think about it in three ways. The first is AI for design systems. The second is AI for product design. And then finally, we're switching gears, design for AI products. So when we think about AI for design systems, what's great is a lot of these are natural plugins to your Figma or your Adobe XD, you name it. But things like Stark are helping with accessibility. Things like DesignLint are helping remove rogue components. And then, of course, Zero Height AI helping with guidelines and documentation. When you think about AI for digital product design, you're letting AI sweat the small stuff, and you can really be focused on the creative. So whether it's something like Lovable.ai or within Figma, you have your own Figma AI, how are we using AI to help with the initial ideation phases or help refine some of the details? The exciting part is really when you're designing for AI, and AI is the product. This is when you have a complete revolution of what you're thinking about, because you're not just designing interfaces and screens, you're designing a relationship and communication model. So your screens now become conversations and dialogues. Your modalities can change. They can be voice, they can be an avatar, they can be different ambient UIs. So a total range that's opening up a new possibility for design. And so when we're curating, we can now think about these new ways of working. And so I wanted to deep dive. This is a very consulting-y slide, but this is the way we think about the product lifecycle. So from discovery to launch and scale, you can see you can apply AI in all of these different dimensions. So in discovery, from analyzing your customers and building personas to concept wireframing and testing those wireframes with users. We've been playing with an AI that conducts user research and interviews for us and can test things at a scale of hundreds and thousands of people rather than interviewing one-on-one with an actual human. Second thing, delivery. We're using this in our day-to-day, writing user stories, test cases, really boring tech stuff. But it's helping accelerate the process. And then finally, launch and scale. And so the way I like to think about this is the human is driving the strategy and vision, but the AI is powering the momentum. So we can do a lot more in less time. That goes back to that concept of the impatient economy. So we like to brag a little bit about IBM Consulting Advantage. Basically, it's a copy of IBM Creative Assistant, same sort of tooling. But in essence, it's our proprietary tool that brings these workflows together for the product development lifecycle and enables our teams to use AI to help the workflows. And this is trained on IBM product information, is trained on our ecosystem partners like Salesforce and Adobe product information. And we have a bunch of other things like document readers or client-specific data models that help us deliver work differently. I will say I've worked a lot with this tool, and we've gotten some amazing results. But it's not just about the tool. You often don't have a technical problem when you're trying to build a model or use AI. It's really about you have an experience problem. And so the question I get a lot is, Andrew, why can I only run 100 POCs in my company, but I can't scale anything to production? I'm not getting the adoption. People aren't using this in their day-to-day workflow. And so our team's really been working on two offerings. One, AI experience design, and the second, AI experience strategy. But reverse those. Strategy first, then design. And the key to this is you need to get back to your fundamentals. What's important to the user? What are the business KPIs we need to hit? How do we do that efficiently? And so before we start building models, start getting all the data together, we figure out what is the end result and what's the context to bring this to life. And so we've done this across clients at IBM, and we've done it in really cool, fun ways where we are creating a shopping assistant online. We have also done it in ways where we're helping advance a telco network's infrastructure. So it really can be applied in all domains. So if I bring this to life in an example, we did build an AI solution for a pharmaceutical company, or life sciences company, excuse me. They have a very, very complicated product catalog. It is dense, intense, and quite frankly, not easy to understand. And so our goal was really, how do we make this legible, easy for people to buy the products, and also easy for cross-sell, upsell opportunities. And so something I want to introduce is we leverage what we call the AI experience equation. It is very small here, but it should be on a big screen. But this is the way that we work. Context, capability, plus modality equals a great AI experience. And so when we think about what does that mean, we start with phase one, context. How do we understand the end user challenges? How do we understand the different touch points of this AI? What are the inputs that will feed this from a workflow perspective? The second piece we look at is capability. What do we want the AI to do? Is it Q&A? Is it summarization? Is it generation? Is it extraction? Is it translation? So there are multiple things the AI can do for you. And then once we have these two pieces together, we think about modality. And that's when the fun part kicks in, and you can think about your design from a chat interface to an avatar to voice, et cetera. And so the last thing I want to end on, which will lead to our next great presenters, is we have done some very fun work in sports and entertainment. Everything from the tennis court to, is it a golf field? Golf course, that's what it is. Clearly, the part I love is the Grammys. Again, Beyonce moment. So when we think about what we've done in tennis, we have been partnering for the last 10 plus years with the US Open and Wimbledon. We're responsible for all of their digital experience, but we've created things that are unique and showcase some of our IBM AI capabilities. One of those things being match insights. Another one, we create automatic tennis match highlights using AI and create a narration layer that's also generated by AI. At the Masters, and you'll hear more about this in a bit, so I'm not going to steal their thunder, but over 13 million people are watching the Masters every year. And so we get personalized video feeds with your favorite players, shot insights, you name it. And then finally at the Grammys, my favorite one, again, is we are creating these factoids and insights during the Grammys red carpet, during the Grammys events, and that's using all the legacy data from the Grammys to help make the experience a little bit different than just watching on a singular screen. So lots of amazing work, still much more to do, but what I want to leave you with is AI really is the moment now. And so we have this opportunity as designers to not just leverage AI in our workflows, but more importantly, shape how we experience AI in the world. And so the guidance I'd give is how do we lead with empathy, make sure we're designing with trust, and make AI something that we don't just adopt, but love and use and make our society better. So with that, I will pass it to Field to talk about all the great work we do, but thanks for your time today and give us feedback. Thank you.
So thank you, Andrew. I'm Cory Calhoun. I produce activations for IBM. And while Charlie and Sadek and Colleen set up the art and Andrew set up the enterprise, I think our job, if we do it right, is to combine the two and show some solutions. And our activation program, we think, is one of them. So compelling products really need compelling marketing experiences. And that's what our activation program is designed to do. And activations have a lot of meaning. The word activation has a lot of meanings across marketing and advertising. But in this context, we're talking about experiences that are very, very high fidelity and very compelling that live in IBM events and environments globally. They exist because a lot of the things that IBM creates are highly complicated. They require a lot of technical knowledge, and the entry point can be quite high. And so we need the ability to sort of soften that conversation and create a little bit of a bedside manner with people who might be interested in our products and services and solutions. And so our activations are effectively conversation starters. They're ways to dive into the content with some fun, with some playfulness, maybe through a game of ping pong or foosball, or just a visualization of something that people thought was intangible. So we have, in our work, partnered with our friends at Field, who have been kind enough to traverse the Atlantic and speak with us today. This is yours now.
Perfect. Yeah, hello. My name is Marcus Wendt. I'm the founder of Field, designer, creative director. I'm here with Xander.
Hey everyone, I'm ECD at Field.
Yes. So to give you a bit of context, we are a 40-person design studio based all over Europe, primarily London and Berlin, but basically scattered around. And we've been partnering with IBM since 2018. I remember Charlie and his team, 8 people sitting in a WeWork in Soho. We didn't have this beautiful space yet, so exciting times. So I guess we're going to speak from a perspective of, well, a partner to IBM, but also creatives who are just figuring out their business model again and again because it's being disrupted. So working with IBM means designing for transformation. Initially, we started essentially trying to give shape to the future, trying to give visualize new technologies and new business models. We did some early work together. A lot of it was motion-based and essentially building abstract stories that explain how products work and essentially give shape to the branding. Over time, that turned into what I would call more expressive design, because I think our audience, they just expect more than just content. There's so much content out there thanks to AI that we really crave these like personal moments, connections that you can dive in yourself and actually have a more authentic experience. So in the more recent years, we've done projects that dive into big data sets where you can sort of explore authentic real-world stories yourself through interactive installations. And more recently, even try to give shape to IBM products and build sort of simulations around how do these products work and can we reconfigure them, and trying to turn that into a game. Nothing against your slides, Andrew. So one of the most recent projects we're very proud of is the AI Sports Club.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Marcus. So these experiences that we create, it's best when they come with some sort of a context that people can associate with. And one of the most sort of simple entry points into personalization and creating a passionate conversation is sports. It's a very opinionated conversation most of the time. It's performance-based. There's just a lot of room for personalization and passion at the very beginning of any experience you want to create with someone. And we've had these partnerships that Andrew mentioned across our friends at Augusta Golf Course, Augusta National Golf Club, with the Masters Tournament, US Open, Ferrari, Scuderia Ferrari, HP, the UFC, and Sevilla Football Club. That we can employ. We've created solutions for them. They're incredibly popular with fans, and so we use them as entry points. And we've decided to combine them into an overall experience called what we call the AI Sports Club. And the premise being that we're able to really quickly create these narratives with, like I said, a lot of passionate entry points and a lot of passionate context. And we also have the advantage of sports having a lot of data and having a lot of insights that can be generated from that data. And so it's a great way to talk about a lot of the things that we do here at IBM. And so this was one of our first forays into information design or explanation of AI. So every year we work with Augusta National Golf Club, and we improve upon this fan experience that we've created in the form of their app and their website. It's all AI powered. We're able to generate insights during the tournament, leveraging over 180,000 points of data that we've collected over the last 9 years. We wanted to, in 2024, rethink the experience that we put in front of our clients at the tournament and other locations. And so we went to field with a brief to basically figure that out with us.
Thank you. I think something I want to say before I really get into Masters, sitting here and listening to all the IBMers speak, there's a lot of very similar ideas around designing and using AI that we talk about, albeit phrased in very slightly different ways. I'm sure we'll repeat some of those sentiments. But I think what's interesting from our side is like, how do we really practically use that as a smaller studio? Mm-hmm. So, we're around 40 people now, very vastly different size to IBM. We don't have all the systems and implementations, but we still find ways to use it in our practice. And especially working with such an incredible company that can, translate data in this way, is very interesting to us to be able to visualize. So something that we do a lot at Field is try and visualize the invisible. As far back as 2018, I think, when AI was kind of people really wanted to know about it. We did something where we're trying to visualize just how it works in the first place. So what does an actual like GAN network look like? How do things communicate? And that was interesting at the time, but it doesn't really tell a story. And I think that's what we're trying to do with Masters, really, is we're trying to tell the story of data and find a way to get people really interested. So that's where we started, really, was data as a foundation. Much to the distress of our designers, we had to make every tree, species, and position exactly the same as it was on the Masters Augusta course.
Then there was a hurricane.
It changes annually, and a storm comes and a tree blows over, and then we have to like change it for that. But we worked with these kind of scans. But I think really it's the data that really brings it close to the fans. Like they know that it's real when they see it, and they can really recognize it, and they can kind of take that in. So seeing is believing. That's something that we do believe, and that's why when we create these generative systems or when we use AI, we're trying to use data and visualize something that is true and not just trying to like create an element that is completely made up. I think there's real foundation in the truth. And that really unlocks a new understanding. And for Masters, we visualized the whole course. We took 9 years of data, which was 180,000 shots by over 289 players, and let people explore that. And that really brings it close to the sport. And that's authenticity. The real world stories that create stronger bonds from the fans and people that are into it. And these insights really enhance those experiences. So essentially through Watson X, we're able to take all this data, we're able to visualize it on the golf course. People can explore it through physical interfaces and essentially sort through different kinds of shots, whether it's bogeys or birdies or pars, and get a real insight as to how different golfers might attack a different spot on the course or a different hole. And when people are passionate about the sport, they're really passionate about this activation. We see people want to spend a lot of time there. And it's really interesting to see when you look at the metrics of these, of how much people really talk about it and spend it. So we find that really exciting.
It's the thing that we're really interested in is diving into that data set and essentially allowing people to find the stories that they're interested in themselves, like uncovering the human side of the story, what happened on this hole, what happened in that particular game. And that essentially creates authenticity and better and more interesting ways of storytelling.
Empathy. We heard about empathy already. The definition of empathy, it's about understanding the way someone is feeling, understanding the things they do, why they do it, how they do it. And I think I want to, through these projects, show not just how we can use AI necessarily as a tool, but also for making things faster and accelerating design, but also how we can use it to change the way we design or improve experiences in a way that we just couldn't do before. So that moves on to Sphere.
Yeah, so IBM created a product for the Sevilla Football Club about 1.5 years ago, I believe. And it basically took all of the scout reports that they had access to, I think about 200,000 of them, and it contextualized it based upon their team's needs and strategy. So we wanted to turn that into something that could be experienced. So this is a game of foosball that you play. It leverages computer vision, and it gives you a real-time, it shows you in real time what's going on in the game, but then more importantly, it takes all the data accumulated during that game, and it gives each player a report on their play style, on how they could get better, who amongst everyone who's ever played the game might be their best opponent or might be their best teammate, and really tried to tap into this high personalization, empathetic moment using the data.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and a completely different way, not language models, but what we're really interested in is that kind of ability to turn anything into an interface, space as an interface, natural interfaces, and it just opens up the door just behind the screen and to bring the audience in a much more natural way. And I think that really worked in this project.
Yeah. So to bring together the idea of natural interfaces and empathy, the way you create a natural interface is you're trying to remove buttons and knobs and all those kind of things, and mean that when you interact in a space or when you do something you would usually do, we're able to listen to that and use that as input. So for the foosball project, we had a foosball table. It really helps with playing foosball. And then we had a camera mounted above it. And we trained a open source vision model to be able to understand the game of foosball itself. So we could track when the players move, we can track when the ball is kicked, we can track when a goal is on target, when it goes in. And I think one of the things that happens when people use these activations is they always say, like, is this real? You know, does this work? And I think the beauty of this one is that because we're really seeing in real time the actions, and you can see on the main screen behind the players, these little boxes, that's matched exactly to when they move. So you can really see that it's really tracking, and you can see every kick and goal that's made in real time. People really engage with that. And then so we get this score afterwards. We can find out how many goals people did. We can see the possession, we can see the shots, you can see the map. But we don't just collect this data, we also collect how passionate they are by seeing how much they're moving the elements. And from that, we can create what we call an archetype, which is trying to create a personalized style to that person. So how does that person act and play? And through that, we can give much more personal insights. So we connect with watsonx to give them a scout report. And I've never really seen people so engaged with like the secondary experience of something as like this, when it's like really all about you and like the special things you do.
Yeah, it's shocking how open they are to vulnerability, you know, because it really gets down and dirty. I mean, it will give you advice, and it has a little bit of a personality prompted into it. So it's, you know, it's kind, but, you know, maybe a little bit, I don't know. It has words for you if you need improvement. But it's amazing because, you know, people will spend, to your point, they'll play foosball for a minute and a half, and they'll spend like 8 minutes with this. So, which is not what you expect. You expect somebody to go play the game with their colleague and get out of there. But this is kind of the sweet spot, and I think this has really opened a lot of doors for us in terms of how we position these conversations that come out of this. Who do you talk to next? You know, like you could have a conversation about artificial intelligence and watsonx. You could have a conversation about AI productivity. You could have a conversation about orchestration of agents. And so it's a high class problem to try to kind of figure out how to get a, you know, how to manage the takeaway from this.
Feels like almost the most magical piece. It's like, okay, you play a game, it tracks it. You can see that on a screen, like almost like a website. But then you get this video which talks about you. And it, you know, in under 10 seconds, that video exists, and you can walk away with it. And it really feels personal, and it really feels like it expands on the experience. So I think for me, this project like really expanded the ability to have these personal experiences at scale. And in a lot of other projects, we kind of battle with that idea. It's like, how do large companies really find ways to engage with their audiences when their audience is so big? And so that's something that I think AI really helps us do, which is find ways to not just, again, be more efficient, but find ways to really relate to people in a better way and ask them what they're thinking, how they feel, and that's how we go with empathy.
For us, it's interesting to go from just understanding of what's going on in the space to maybe the next types of experiences will be more about anticipation, understanding what the user wants before they even get there. And how can we take that and build that into the story? And how do we make personal memorable moments with that?
So that brings us to co-creation. So each of these projects that we're showing kind of have a different theme of how we've worked with technology or AI to kind of create them. And this brings us to Ferrari.
Yeah, so this is a big one. Earlier this year, we announced a partnership with Ferrari's racing team, Formula One racing team, Scuderia Ferrari HP. And in a very short amount of time, needed to put something together that embraced what we were doing, not only with the partnership, but also obviously with the app that was being created. We took the formula of Tifosi, which is what the Ferrari fan base, the Scuderia Ferrari fan base is called. And we just tried to figure out how to inject as much passion that the sport imbues into an experience.
This project was a culmination of essentially those last two projects in a way. We wanted to take, you know, the essence of the sport that we have from Masters, the kind of visual fidelity of being true to life, true to the sport, bringing something exciting to people that could relate to it in that way, but also bring that personalized element that we saw in Severe FC. And the challenge on this one really was time. I think Masters, a few months, and the ask was 6 weeks.
This is 6 to 8, in fairness. 2 extra weeks got us over the finish line. It was an incredibly short amount of time, and the first time that this was to appear, which is what you see on the screen, happened to be our IBM's flagship thought leadership event. So it was no small feat.
No pressure.
Well, a lot of pressure. But it was a success, which was great. And we had the team principal of Ferrari come along and shake a woman's hand who did drive, and obviously everyone was very excited, and I was very relieved that everything worked. So how did we get there, I think, is the question. So this is just showing you like some of the experience. Essentially, as you drive in the simulator, as you saw, we're tracking all of your information, all the data. When is your brake point? How hard are you hitting the brakes? What is your speed? Visualizing that around the course and showing you how you achieved it. We needed to design at pace. And the thing that we had this time around was we had a lot of ingredients. So essentially, IBM, it's a very established brand. They have a lot of guidelines and elements that we want to follow, as well as Ferrari. They also have a lot of specific aspects. And there was some battling, of course, as like red for IBM is danger, errors, things going wrong. And for Ferrari, it's their main color. So we had to find ways to balance those. But essentially, we did have ingredients. And that really helps when you have a short time, is just to accept, OK, we need to bring these together. The other thing we had is established experiences. We'd worked together on Severe, calling the shots, other elements, and we knew how to visualize data. And so if we want to try and get how does this look for Ferrari out of ourselves as quick as possible, we can turn to, of course, AI. So we can train custom models on the car itself, which means that everything we make is going to have the car in it. We can input all the graphical elements, all the design elements into it as well, and see what kind of we get out and just kind of iterate through and try and visualize those ideas. And that's great for getting you to kind of the first step and giving you an idea of, OK, this works, this is the kind of world we can be in, that's something we can build in a very limited time. But then you have to go to your designers and say, OK, how do we bring this together? How do we refine it? What is the logic? What is the real creative direction? How are we actually talking about the data and information? Because AI is kind of really only giving us the vibe when it comes to imagery. And the other element that it really gives us is the ability to prototype. So as well as using it for visual elements, we can also prototype much faster. So although we couldn't use it for Unreal, which is where the main visualizer was built, we could build it for the secondary experience. And that's the only way we'd be able to get something like Severe FC, something people that could engage with together so quickly, is iterating on that scaffold with the help of AI to build it. Of course, again, it takes designers, it takes developers to really refine it and bring it together. And I think that the leaderboard really became the competitive edge on this one.
It's an interesting formula because we've done gamified experiences with ping pong, with foosball, and it turns out this is the one where people really gets under people's skin when they're criticized or they don't perform well. But I think one of the other interesting things about this project is a general formula is maybe starting to appear with some of these activations that employ AI directly, which is data and just a whole lot of optionality, right? And so I think like this one in particular, the field team did a great job of just sort of asking the right questions of the models, truly using it as an accelerator for this very ambitious and aggressively timed project. And I love that this sort of formula that we've used over and over again really came together in this project, and how you can you can literally see the data. I'm pointing at this, sorry, by the way. You can literally see the data moving over the car. That's something that every talented designer can do, but that AI is going to be able to just do a little bit faster, so that it can be iterated on in the amount of time that we had. I just think that this is like a really nice sort of like encapsulation of everything that everything that we've done today.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things for me as a takeaway on these projects and using AI more and more in our process is it's becoming less about kind of what we can build, like what's the capability. We have natural interfaces, things that can understand people as they move through space. We can use it to develop, we can use it to help accelerate design. But the question really becomes like, why we build it, or like what's the story behind it? I think that's the most important bit.
That was my slide. But taste becomes a scarce asset. So in a time when AI makes intelligence cheap, it's your own personal filter and preferences that actually make the difference. So I think us as designers, you need to lean into your human side. You need to understand what resonates with the audience and why, and really listen to those like feelings, and then use AI to make it in 6 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. We can continue talking for days with you. We'll never get enough of IBM. IBM is the largest design firm in the world. And we're really so thrilled to partner with you. And we've been doing this for years. I don't know if anybody remembers the IBM installation in Astor Place in 2016 for NYC by Design. And that's when we started working with IBM. And each year we've held talks, and you've consistently partnered with us. We're so proud to have you in New York. And sitting in this space, IBM encompasses all design disciplines. We have architecture, interior design, graphic design. It's way beyond technology by design. So thank you very, very much. I hope everybody gets to see other parts of the festival, which continues through May 21st. Take a look at our app, NYCxDESIGN. Just download it for free. Our website, grab a grid, our guide, and enjoy the rest of the festival. And thank you so much. You are so interesting and so important to our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you for coming, everyone.